This is Community Unity Now, the D Tycoon Show. This is Bill Morton, President of the Rogers Park Chamber of Commerce. I am Trudy Leong, Administrator of the Rogers Park Chamber of Commerce. And our very special, so important guest today is Eric Bazir. He is the steward of Amalgamated Transit Union, Local 308. Welcome, Eric.
Thank you.
So nice to have you back.
It's an honor to be back. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you are trying to help the CTA, Chicago Transit Authority workers get better working conditions. And it's, I'm sure they've run into so many problems that you have described before, but let's give an example. What might have happened to a worker and they come to you, and then how are you able to help them?
So one example, and this is a matter of potential loss of life and equipment damage, and that is in some of our rail maintenance shops where we work on the trains. The lifts, these large hydraulic jacks that actually lift the train in the air, these are not properly maintained as per the manufacturer's specifications because the Chicago Transit Authority, I will say mismanagement, has decided to cut those types of budget lines. And because that happens, these things eventually become defective. And over time, they wear out. And just a few months ago, almost a year ago, while some of my coworkers were working underneath the trains, replacing the calipers for brakes that allow us to stop the trains when they're moving, suddenly the lifts started going down by themselves. So here's two human beings who are paid to make sure the trains are safe for the riders of Chicago. The train that brings the trucks down starts lowering by themselves. And immediately they evacuated. So my coworkers immediately did the right paperwork about these terrible, unsafe working conditions. Nothing happened. Then, just a couple months later, on the same lifts that bring up the train, we had two cars on this lift, and both ends came down on the lifts. The train almost rolled off into the rail shop, which would have killed many people. The Chicago Transit Authority covered it up. They never told anyone. And then they wrote up the worker who happened to be operating it. And they said, well, you know what, we'll do you a favor. We won't give you a 2-year safety violation for your record. We'll just give you a procedural. But here, my coworkers reported the defect. Yet here it is. Some people almost died. They had to get another train to pull the train up. They had to lower them somehow and pull the train off the jacks. It was a mess. Then me and my coworkers dutifully had to repair that train. And it took months. So you ever wonder, you and the great riders of our trains ever wonder why there's delays? It's because the equipment is jacked up. Because we have to repair it for repairing things that are breaking that don't need to break.
So this happened in the past. This happened about a year ago.
But the recent event happened months ago.
So there has not been a positive outcome. There hasn't been the change needed.
No, in fact, this week, while I'm working with my partner on a train on another jack at the same shop, another lift at the same shop, there were 6 or 8 lifts that came up, 8 posts. Only 7 of them came up. And I couldn't do the work. I couldn't replace the brake caliper. I had to go do something else.
So these posts these 8 they're even and they lift up the train.
Right, they hold.
You can't do it with 7.
No, because it'll fall.
Right, because it's an 8-car train like the Red Line.
When we work on them in twos, not the whole 8. When we're lifting them like that. Okay.
So do the 8 lift one rail car or the Set of two.
The set of two.
Okay.
We call it a unit. Okay?
So 4 per rail car.
Basically, yes. Yes. And then there's something called a jack or a lift that holds the body of the car so we can stretch the trucks or the wheels away so we can go in between and work on them. Because the riders should know that we can be smashed by the trains while we're working on them. Okay? And I want to point out one other thing that the people should know. See, in maintenance, the riders, the great people of Chicago who are watching this excellent show, you don't see us because we're in the background. But sometimes you'll see the janitors. And did you know that the CTA has now told the janitors you can no longer use bleach? You ever wonder why the past couple months the stations smell like the worst kind of toilet? Has it gotten worse? I've noticed it's gotten worse, the smell and the funk.
So why no bleach?
Well, there was a little accident. Apparently, some bleach dripped from some elevated structure and got into a pedestrian's eyes, and that's the rumor. So the CTA obviously has to settle and pay damages, but to punish the workers and the riders of the system, to not be able to use bleach, how do you sanitize it? These janitors are so frustrated. Then they're getting written up for poor work performance. Not only that, but now they got the janitors doing more work, working more hours with the same pay. They call it bridging. So instead of hiring, for example, we have one janitor who says, I'm going to work at this station based on my seniority so I can focus on this station and make it clean and safe for the riders. Well, now what they're doing, instead of hiring more janitors to replace those who are sick or injured, because, we don't have any paid sick leave at the CTA, when we get sick. And when we get hurt, they write us up. So we just go to work sick or injured and we can't do it anymore. We just don't show up. We try to use our FMLA, whatever. We're in the hospital. But here now is a missing worker. So now the worker who picked, let's say, Harrison Station on the red line, now has to also do Roosevelt.
He has to pick up the slack.
Yes.
Without getting extra pay.
Right. And then, but they still can't, they're still doing half the work because now they can't focus on their station. They got to do 2 stations.
And in the one shift, they have to do 2 stations.
Basically. But they're filling in for that gap. It's called bridging. And then they'll bring the next person in. So the next shift has to cover that part of that too.
So the earlier shift does 1.5, and the later shift does 1.5.
Basically,
to bridge it.
Yeah, and that is adding to the stress. So yes, we need funding, but the mismanagement needs to stop.
So we have you're calling them mismanagers, not managers,
right?
You have an issue with the way they're doing things. I have to ask you. Most organizations, I think all organizations, must have bylaws of some sort.
Well, interestingly, when it comes to the Chicago Transit Authority, there are what's called safety rules. And there are what's called bulletins and standard operating procedures. And these things are rules within the CTA that govern the CTA. And unfortunately, the only time that they're enforced is when they want to punish us.
Is there anything that the workers could do when the CTA do not follow their own rules? What recourse do they have?
So the recourse is our collective bargaining agreement as a union. Okay? So as a union, we have a duty to the riders and each other and the company. All right? So within that, it says the Chicago Transit Authority must provide the best possible working conditions. What is the best possible working conditions at the CTA? Why nothing better than CTA headquarters. And I encourage the riders to go visit the CTA headquarters.
We visit the CTA headquarters very often.
Especially for the board meetings, right?
We attend the board meetings, we speak at public comment, and they tap us on the shoulder to respond to our issues. A lot of different things. But to your point, if you go to the CTA headquarters over there by the Clinton Green Line stop, The elevators work. The restrooms are pristine, and the security is there.
Oh,
Safe, secure, and clean.
so you feel safe.
Secure and clean.
Isn't that something else? But when it comes to the stations and the trains, oh no. It's we just don't have it. We're at a fiscal cliff. Or as some people say, physical cliff. I don't know.
They're saying the doomsday. They're saying the
Yeah.
fiscal cliff, and
Yeah.
they're saying
Which
many
they
other things.
made for decades and decades. They've been doing this. They've been robbing the riders and the workers
But
of the
what
best possible working
But what
conditions.
could workers do? Let's say they come to you and then they bring the complaint. Let's say those employees that got written up because the lift was in poor condition and it wasn't their fault. What could you do if the union is not on their side? What recourse do they have?
Well, the union is on the side of the workers. As a representative, I say that it's supposed to be. So what we do is we enforce the contract. So when the workers come to me and they say, Eric, I need some help, I say, no problem. I go with them and the manager and I say, okay, this, and this. Let's remove this. We know they're going to do that. We look at their work record. It's very good. Here's something that just happened out of nowhere. Let's give them a chance. They say, no, we're not going to talk about it. Well, right away, they violated the contract. So the problem is that the CTA will not abide by the collective bargaining agreement. The problem is that they have held hostage our presidents and most of my fellow union officials. And they preach to us, the workers, that the riders are the enemy. When it's really the mismanagement. Because they'll say the riders will call in on you. The riders will rat you out. The riders will tell. Yeah, so we are getting caught up in the terrible working conditions. And then the management conveniently pits the riders against the workers and the workers against the riders.
So the complaints come in, and so they blame the workers for the issues. But the workers are not getting proper payment or resources to fix the issues?
Exactly. So when your bus is late or your train is late, and you may notice the operator may be brash or may mutter something or seem to be in outer space, you must understand that person might be sick. That person might be overwhelmed. And because we don't have paid sick leave and we're punished when we call in sick. I mean, we're punished. That's per the CTA procedures to punish us for excessive absenteeism. Now here, Bill, you work at the CTA, for example. You come every day and all of a sudden you come down with some food poisoning. I can't make it. And you get a write-up for excessive absenteeism. How is that excessive?
And that happened many times.
Yes, it happens all the time. It happens every time I'm out there representing these poor people.
And they do it because they want to fire those people?
Yes.
Because they've been there for too long and
Yes.
they might get there.
Yes, they cost a little too much money.
So after a certain period of time, say either the 1 year
Yeah.
milestone or the 10-year milestone,
I would
they
say
would
1
get
year.
Benefits, and
Yeah.
then 10-year maybe.
1 year, after 1 year, a CTA employee becomes expensive because there's something called pension and life insurance. So they have to cover them with a life insurance policy, about $10,000, and they got to cover them with pension. So they got to contribute for every dollar that the worker puts in, the CTA has to put in money. Okay, whatever the percentages are, it changes. But yeah.
And when you talk about mismanagement, you're talking about the CTA mismanagement and the union officials that are held hostage by the CTA, they're the mismanagement as well.
I call them the boss agents or the misleaders. I want to be specific, you know.
What is the difference?
Yes.
The difference is the misleaders are merely held hostage. I don't want to make them out like they are planning to do this, but they are hostage. So my job and my coworker job is to free them, but some of them don't want to be free.
So you're very outspoken.
Yes.
You're here right
Yes.
now.
Yes.
You're on the radio with us as well.
Yes.
And you're on the Facebook and everywhere else. You're really newsletter and you're hosting meetings. So what happens to those who are outspoken usually in the CTA?
They are targeted for disparate treatment. For example,
Unjustified or justified?
never, it's not justified, no, unjustified. For example, during the Hands Off rally, some of you might remember downtown and around March, and there's all these rallies. I happened to be there on my off day, holding signs that say CTA workers deserve paid sick leave. Well, I was suspended for doing that on my off day. And we have photographic evidence of other CTA workers protesting on their off days, on off time, even in uniform. Now, I wore a uniform. Yes, I used to be a train operator, but I covered up the CTA logo. But why are they coming after me? And not why haven't they been doing that for decades? It's because of the message that I bring. And that is, number one, without good working conditions, the CTA will never be successful, and that the union belongs to the members of the union, not the officials, not the politicians, and not the CTA.
I would think that the CTA, if they really want better conditions for the riders, they would take into consideration what the employees and what the union, like union leaders like you, are telling them, so that they could address the problem, resolve the problem. That is why when I was at the CTA board meeting a couple of months ago, I brought up our conversations with you and sent them. They said that they wanted the link of our interview as well, and then I sent it to them, and then they did not respond to me afterwards. And then maybe that's how they went after you and tried to attack you.
Yes, they want to silence me, but the thing is, I know a little too much, so. So they're having trouble.
And just for the record, we have invited the board of the CTA to be on this show and our radio shows, and all of our outlets. We've invited them to say their side of everything, and we always do.
And that's so important. That is so important because, see, I'm not a union official that will say, okay, what do you want me to tell the people? I'm like, let me tell you what's going on here. We need to fix this. So, they need that. They need to hear from union officials that aren't afraid of them, that don't care about their feelings, that care about the workers and the riders. Because I know without you and you, I have no job.
So the CTA is watching. The CTA is watching.
Yes.
So what would you like to tell them?
Yes, let's say you're working full time. You cannot appear at the board meeting. So let's say you are at board meeting now, and are speaking at public comment. What would you tell the CTA board?
Dear CTA board, if you want to meet your mission, as stated in your mission statement, give every single CTA worker paid sick leave as per Municipal Code 6-130 and stop punishing us for getting sick. That's where it starts. That's the foundation.
And then the CTA workers are watching as well.
Absolutely.
So what would you like to say to them?
Dear CTA workers, the union belongs to you, not to the elected people. Take control of your union. Impeach the boss-loving, boot-licking traitors who have sold you out and waived your paid sick leave in the contract. Hold them accountable. Don't wait for some other lawyer, some other elected person, some government official, or some outside union to do what you have to do.
And you spoke about when there is a contract and workers are asked to ratify the contract. Are they able to read the contract?
Well, what we have been given is summaries of what was agreed upon,
And then
not the whole thing.
Could you request for the entire contract?
Yes, and that's what I did. I went to the Freedom of Information Act, FOIA, at transitchicago.com, and I requested the full tentative agreement, the most recent one,
Now, the thing about FOIAs.
Yes.
We do a lot of FOIAs. We have to find out our information.
Yes.
And we understand that sometimes FOIAs take a while.
Yes.
When you did your FOIA, how long did it take?
That only took a couple weeks, which is long. But
They seem proud about their quick turnover on
yeah,
FOIAs.
they're very good. They're very good. But they got clever lawyers behind them, so you just got to keep rewording it to get what you want. Yeah. And let's stay in touch. Let's share FOIA request results. Let's try to do that.
Yes.
And you said something about the CTA waiving some parts of the contract when they are where they cannot follow the contract. And then explain to us about the waiver in the contract that you have to FOIA in order to get.
Right. So that was our paid sick leave. The CTA mismanagement convinced our union officials to sign a waiver for our paid sick leave as per Municipal Code 6-130. They somehow convinced them, and then they didn't put that waiver in our tentative agreement summary that we voted on. So we voted on a tentative agreement that had a waiver for our paid sick leave. And let me let you all know that it's not just the Amalgamated Transit Union. It was the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. It was the International Association of Machinists. The only union at the CTA was the Teamsters. And they made sure that the members, for the people who operate the big trucks, got paid sick leave as per what the managers get, which is found in Administrative Procedure 1009. You can FOIA that as well. So I had to do some investigations. And isn't that sad that only a few people at the CTA who work there get paid sick leave?
And the CTA is a sister agency of the city of Chicago.
That's right.
Okay, and again, who gets paid sick leave and who doesn't at the CTA?
The management. Mm-hmm. The management gets it. And very few union ones, kind of like foreman type, get it. It's small. It's just a minority. And then just the Teamsters, which is just a few people.
And then Teamsters would be driving equipment, transporting equipment for
big
the CTA?
Trucks. Just the big trucks.
And
yeah.
what could the CTA employees do about voting for a waiver that they did not know about?
They have to put charges on the officials and impeach them and remove them from office. It's that simple.
Is that what elections are for?
Well, it had an election too. Definitely don't re-elect these people. And I know I'm running for president, so if you don't want any waivers like that to be signed, you can definitely vote for me, because I tell everything to the members.
And when is the new contract going to be negotiated?
We got about another year and a half.
That's not too bad. So the contract is usually for about how long?
3 years. Unless they play around.
And then filing charges and impeaching union leader.
Yes.
Has that ever happened? And how do your fellow employees do that if they hear you talking about this and feel that they just can't take it anymore?
Yes, it has happened. It happened to me. My fellow union officials were so upset that I was defending a single mother who the CTA fired. And they said I was conducting misconduct, and so they wanted to remove me from office. But the membership showed up and destroyed that.
So it's never actually happened, as far as you know.
No, I'm pretty much the only one that orchestrates things against them, but they orchestrated against me.
And they haven't ever orchestrated something against anyone else beside you?
No. I'm just... They got to get rid of me.
You're the amalgamated one.
I'm the amalgamated one.
Yeah, you're the leader.
The boogeyman.
You're the leader that tells the facts that they do not want the public nor other employees to know about.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. If our viewers want to learn more about Amalgamated Transit Union, Local 308 Steward, Brother Eric Bazir, and spell your name, how would they be able to contact you, your fellow employees as well?
Eric Bazir, 308.blogspot.com.
One more time.
Eric Bazir, ERICBASIR, 308.blogspot.com.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Eric Wazir.
So informative, always, as always.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for
Important-
letting me hear.
Yeah, important information. We all write, well, a lot of us write the CTA, and
Thank
it's
you.
it's a part of the lifeline of Chicago. And please take care of it. The City of Chicago and the Chicago Transit Authority. This is Bill Morton, President of the Rogers Park Chamber of Commerce. I am Trudy Leong, Administrator of the Rogers Park Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for watching Community Unity Now, the D Tycoon Show, and we will see you again next week.
All right.